minute countdown. Hello, and welcome to episode 133 of Mac Yak for August 19th, 2021. How is
Hello.
everybody doing today?
Man, I am hot. I was having way too much fun with that intro music.
Jay broke a sweat dancing.
Yeah,
We definitely need to record us all dancing into the intro at some stage.
Yeah,
Do you want our subscribers to go down, Bruce? Is that what you want?
it would be worth it.
It would be worth it. And we have our very special guest, which has muted himself, probably accidentally.
No, actually, I muted him because he was not
then
muted
don't do that.
during the. No, he was not muted during the intro. So
I don't care. Let him speak for himself. And hopefully he'll unmute himself. So
he's
he
unmuted
could,
right now.
He could giggle.
Now?
You could talk now. You are at liberty to talk, Mr. Kai Robinson. Thank you very much for joining us at such short notice.
That's okay. I like being a last-minute celebrity showing.
Yeah, all
I'm okay with this.
the 7 people we invited before are all cancelled, so we needed a backup plan.
Hey,
They were upset their checks didn't clear last time, and we ran out of excuses.
that's fine because normally I pay you guys. So
We're fine with that too. Oh boy! So how's everyone been doing past week?
Good. I got some new stuff coming, so I hopefully will maybe make some videos soon. I don't know. We'll see.
And Mike, did you do anything recently?
Not really.
Okay, you don't want to share.
Why would I want to share that? Nobody cares.
Okay. Anyway, tune into Mike's Mac Shack for him to share something nobody cares about later, I guess.
isn't that basically
you talking about the computer I just picked up?
Yes, I was giving you an open plug there.
Nobody wants to hear about a crappy old Dell PC.
No,
Sure,
not
if you
right.
sell it that way.
He's right. Move on.
Move along.
Except for the fact that it's a 12-core Xeon E5 with 32 gigs of RAM, 1 terabyte hard drive, and a 1 terabyte SSD. And I'm thinking about turning it into a Hackintosh.
Guess nobody cares.
It's going to be my new streaming computer.
So Jay, what are you up to?
I think I did a stream earlier this week, or it may have been last week. I don't remember.
It was earlier this week.
It was.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
You actually did a 3-parter, I think, didn't you?
Yeah, no, it was a little bit more boring than I was hoping it. I was hoping it would be more interesting, but I had some fun. And I might do another stream tomorrow. My wife's phone needs a new battery, so the pressure is up there. She told me, "Do not mess this up."
She's going to be looking over you. and have
Or
a
she might be
spatula in one
saying,
hand.
"Mess it up because then I get a new phone."
Yeah. Uh-huh. So that's it. Nothing else planned.
So Kai, anything new from your end? You nice and rest and relax from your vacay?
yes, but then I went straight back into work where that was just like day one. Day one, it's like I'm back. I'm fresh from holiday, and then I look at the ticket queue and I cry.
You need another vacation already.
And it's a case of like, why have you left all of this work for me? You've had 2 weeks. You could have done this. Like literally, like people going, excuse me, my laptop's exploded. Can I have some help? And it's like, that's okay. He can deal with it when he gets back.
We'll let the charred remains of his laptop stay on his desk for a while.
At least I know I'm not the one that's going to get fired. So,
Oh,
and also it means I've got leverage. It means I can just go. You can't fire me. You'd be sunk without me.
So Bruce, I hear that things have been quite exciting for you. Any updates on? I know we'll talk about it more in depth, but
Yes, sure. I mean, look, one thing I do need to actually mention very quickly, it's very important for me to say this, is that I have been working on this Mac Classic Reloaded project, and because of the amount of work that I've been putting into it lately, I think some people are wrongfully thinking that it was something that I did from the ground up, which I didn't do. This is Kai's brainchild, and that is why he is on the show tonight. He is the brains. I have simply been the one putting this thing together and helping to find any problems with it. So yeah, I mean, we will obviously be talking about that a little bit later, but I have successfully finished the first Mac Classic Reloaded board. I've been staring at it a lot lately, so I tend to forget. But it is kind of cool seeing this on a blackboard like that.
It is. It's really neat.
Yeah. So anyhow, that's that. And as I say, we'll talk about that a little bit later. But that has definitely been occupying a lot of my time lately.
Just a wee bit. Just a wee bit.
So, Bruce, you have
I've just adjusted my microphone again. I figured out what I figured out what's doing it. It's annoying. It's StreamYard doing automatic mic gain adjustment.
Oh yeah, turn that off.
Yeah.
Turn it off.
There we go. That's
and it doesn't help that you keep your lapel mic under
sorry.
your beard.
Continue.
You know, that doesn't help either.
No, that's where the sound comes out.
But Bruce, before we went live, you were telling us in private how this was a unique opportunity for you to steal the entire project because you have changed your mind on that.
Yes, it's. I mean, the thing is that it's been a wonderful thing to be involved in a project like this, and to some extent, I mean, I have been able to get, sort of all this. I mean, like when it chimed for the first time, I was the first person that heard it. You know what I mean? I messaged Kai straight away, and he saw it when he first woke up in the morning, and was able to sort of have a bit of excitement there. But I mean, I got that joy, and that first time I got video, and the first time I got it booting. I mean, I've been enjoying a lot of firsts in this, so I've been really getting the fun part of the job. That's for sure.
We're happy for you, but you do realize that's incredibly selfish, right?
I was actually technically asleep when he said, it chimed, and of course I wake up and I got one working eye, and it chimed. It chimed! quick. This is sleeping next to me, and I was like, I've got to go to work, but at the same time, dart straight to the computer, and I'm typing, and I'm like, help! How can I help? How can I help? Tell me more. What's going on? It's like I've got no video. And I'm like.
Well, it's interesting because throughout the whole process, I've obviously done 3 videos on this so far, and throughout all 3 of the videos, and each one is like 3+ hours long, there's absolutely nothing happening on the screen of the computer. We get funny noises and stuff, and other, we've had all sorts of things go on and everything, but we've had nothing on the screen during all that time. And we actually got a chime before we got video, and eventually figured out the video. But had the video worked from day dot, we would have been seeing all sorts of things on the screen. We would have been seeing checkerboards, and we would have been seeing vertical lines, and we would have been seeing all sorts of weird things going on. But as it turns out, we just had a black screen the whole time. And the very first time I got video, I actually got the little sad Mac icon, and. I know we all prefer to have a happy Mac icon, but a sad Mac icon means you're actually communicating, or the computer is communicating with you. It's saying, "Hey, I've got a problem, and this is what it is." Mm-hmm. And once we were down that path, we were we were home free. So yeah,
it was it was actually quite funny because the error code that was thrown up on screen, I actually tried looking for like the sad Mac error codes for the classic, and like that early in the morning, brain not completely working. Or like, hang on, the classic is basically just a cost-reduced SE. Let's just look in the dead Mac scrolls for what it says under SE, and it's like, no, this is a memory issue in this bank. And I'm like, okay, well, we've narrowed it down to just these 4 chips at the bottom of the data bus, and it turned out to just be one unsoldered pin.
Yeah, we won't talk about that though. We won't talk about the one single mistake I made in the assembly of the entire board. We won't talk about that.
No, we got an hour and a half to talk about that.
Don't worry, we will get to that in depth. We will.
Yes,
we will totally get to that in depth.
Hijacking the show. Sorry.
No. That's your time to be hijacking the show will be in like 60 seconds. I assure you. So, all right. So I had done a little thing, and so I'll dive into that, and then we'll do news. That sound okay?
Yeah.
Or do you want to do news first?
Yeah, yep. Yeah, let's go for it.
All right, cool. So I visited Ken's lair. So this was Crazy Ken of the Computer Clan on YouTube and Twitter. That famous dude very graciously invited me onto his, I think it's 100 feet underground or 100 levels underground. Whatever one's bigger. So I was invited into the depths of his lair and to work on some projects. And we had a blast. Not going to tell you too much about the outcome of some of those things because it's very exciting, and I can't wait for you guys to see the videos when they launch. But here's him getting me past security, so that was nice. And we worked on a number of projects, and one of them is related to this guy. He had a iMac prototype that was in a pretty poor state and had some questionable things about it, so we took a deep dive into that. And then we were working on a few other things. One is a Nextcube, which is very exciting. First time I actually got to play with one of those. And we also were working on a eMate, which was really cool. So that's the Newton laptop. But what's really exciting is, Ken's into scam busting and all this stuff. Well, I won't name their name, and I would implore you not to name their name either. But there's a certain individual of the vintage Macintosh community that gives us all sort of a bad name and likes to have ridiculous prices.
He shall not be named.
He shall only be referred to as Mr. Polka Dots. And so let's just say that Ken has been inspired to do some research into certain activities claimed from this individual, and that we have some very, very exciting things to be showing you over the next few weeks. So the first video that we collaborated on goes out August 26th, so that's pretty soon. And then September, going on through the month of September, there's a bunch of other stuff. So very excited to have participated in those things. Very gracious to Ken for inviting me over. And the first thing I did when I came back was realize that, compared to his beautiful setup and everything, mine looked like garbage. So what I ended up doing is shoving lights everywhere and cleaning up my shelves. And yeah, so that's what I ended up doing.
Yeah,
when
put
I got
that
back.
one next to Ken's picture now, and you'll see a similarity there.
Well, he didn't invent the use of lights, but I'm going to gladly steal any information he gave me.
Now,
So,
Steve, if I want to see more about your setup, where can I do that?
I do have a Patreon post I put. So if you go to patreon.com/Mac84, there's a post about me rambling in front of the camera while I turn the lights on and off and act like a child for 5 minutes. So
Yes, it's a good video, actually.
and that darn G3 Molar Mac was getting it on that shelf. I could have cured disease and famine easier. I think that was quite a feat. So yeah. Do not recommend lifting those above your shoulders. So yeah, that's my long-winded update. But I was gone for a while, so I just wanted to share everything. So, yay! All right, cool.
I know it does deserve to be front and center. I agree.
All right, so that's about it, I guess, for little intros here. So on to news and announcements. Jay, you had something cool that you wanted to share?
I did. I better pull up the notes.
You did the thing.
I did the thing. Oh, right, the thing. Yes, on our Discord server, which if you're not there, you should be ashamed of yourself. We introduced a new channel. The name of the channel is Soldering and Repair. And anyone that does any type of soldering and repair can share pictures, ask for tips, help each other out. And it's been a fairly busy channel ever since we started it. So, check it out. If you do any type of repair, promote yourself in there. Share with the community. It's always nice to know who can solder and who cannot. There's people like that out there too. Check it out.
Like it.
That's it.
Sorry, my cursor was flying to the mute button. So yeah, that's exciting though, because we always had side conversations about soldering and stuff, and Bruce will be there 24/7 to answer all of your soldering questions,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
A representative of Breakers Creations will be out to you soon.
I have actually been on there a few times, and the conversation has been good fun. I've been a little bit preoccupied lately, but yeah, I think having a channel like that is an absolutely fantastic idea. So.
We create these channels to have Bruce actually show up on Discord. At first, he didn't show up, and then I created a 3D printing channel. He was all over that, and then that kind of waned off. And like, what can we do to get Bruce back? Soldering and repair. So we'll get a few weeks out of that, and then we have to think of another channel.
How about a Mac Classic board soldering channel?
Oh yeah,
yeah,
oh, yeah.
Very specific.
And not to miss one pin, right?
Oh, we'll get to that.
There will be
I'm
no.
just,
We want to know.
There is a second revision of the board underway. So
Revision 1B for Bruce.
actually, it is actually 1.2b.
That's great. All right, so the next piece of news here, we have an article about if your M1 Mac is crashing, you are not alone. I believe GT slapped this in there.
Yeah, I saw this. It was in one of my. I get emailed all these links all the time about tech news and stuff, and this was one of them. And apparently, a lot of users have also been having issues with their new Mac M1s popping. It sounded like something electrical, and then crashing, and then totally shutting off. Sound like something blows up inside of it. Well, however, it's not something actually blowing up. It's actually just the speaker making that little popping sound, and then it crashes. But, however, according to the article, the latest update kind of fixed that, but I'm not sure if it's actually fixed it or what they had to do to fix it. But it doesn't say what it was or what was causing it. It just kind of says it went away. But there was a lot of people having issues, so I thought I'd throw that out there. So if you got an M1 MacBook, might want to check that out.
We've been saying this since they were introduced, and that's never buy a first revision Mac.
The other day, and at work, we've got about 40 M1 MacBook Pros already provisioned, and not one of them has reported any problem like that at all. We actually reached out to some of the people we've provisioned with M1s and just said, hey, have you been on the receiving end of any of these weird problems? And no, not a problem, not an issue. But then again, I don't know if it's because of the environment that I operate in. People are very sort of averse to updating their OS at all. It's come out the box with an OS, and they just go, software update, that's nice, and then they don't update it for 2 years.
That's the way to do it.
How it goes. Yeah.
Just because it's it's a software dev environment, and as long as their stuff carries on working fine on the existing version, they will keep that version until the machine dies. Yeah.
That's how I do it.
Now we've all been saying never get a first revision Mac, which I will stand by. But I will say the M1, it had some quirks. It had some issues with the excessive SSD writing and some other stuff. But for a first generation product, the M1 has been doing pretty damn good, if you ask me.
Yeah, you don't have a liquid cooling leakage off of the processors. You don't have batteries exploding. You don't have spotlight effects from the bottom of the LCD. You don't have delamination. You don't have keyboard issues.
Well, you don't know that yet because they've only been out for a little.
Sure, way to ruin my descriptions there. We'll only time will tell, I'm sure. Like any machine, but I am looking forward to the second revision of these, so I could finally buy like a Mac Mini or something like that to leapfrog my current system.
I'm still holding out for the 2018.
My work MacBook Pro, it's the MacBook Pro 15, the last model they put out before they switched to the 16, and I'm due for a refresh now. I've been where I have been for just over 3 years now, and that's refresh time. But it's like I'm going to hold on just until the end of the year because I want to see what they put out, and if they actually get around to putting out like an M1X, then I'll swap it out for something like that because. The 15-inch that I've got, it's hot. You put any kind of load on it at all. You could make grilled cheese sandwich. Just stick a normal cheese sandwich on it. Just sit it on top. Hi, I'm going to be doing some Jira queries.
Get two $1,500 laptops and put your sandwich between them. And
I might try that. We have a surplus of these things on the shelf because they come back going, okay, this is too hot. Can I have a 13-inch M1, please? Like, yeah, sure. There you go.
Welcome to Kai's cooking channel. First, you want to butter up the bottom of this Mac Pro and add some olive oil, and there you go. All right, so all right, so hopefully those issues will get better with time, as a lot of these things tend to do.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna mosey on down to Bruce's corner here, as Bruce and Kai regale us of exciting activities that they hinted at the beginning of the show, starting with a pad or an area that you forgot to solder, Bruce.
Mm-hmm.
How did this happen? You have a microscope, etc., etc. I'll lay off.
I am going to actually roll it back just a little bit, and
good tactic.
So obviously just give a quick little bit of background on this. So most importantly, Kai started off with this. This is a Macintosh SE reloaded board. So this is a Macintosh SE, empty board, all ready for populating with parts. And the majority, not all, but the majority of parts on this are still available. You can still buy them. I mean, I've got a little box here full of little capacitors ready to go in here, because I am going to build this one, but Kai probably didn't realize this before he sent this to me, but I hate through-hole soldering. So that's why I was so quick to do the classic one, and this one's still unfinished. But anyhow, that's another story. I am actually going to build this one. But anyhow, so Kai basically built this successful, sort of needed, I think, a couple of revisions, but ultimately, this is the Macintosh SE recreated. Now, the Macintosh Classic is, as sort of Kai pointed out to us, is essentially just a Macintosh SE squished down into a smaller board. And so there was a sort of an understandable natural progression to go from the SE to the Classic. And of course, one of the big issues with the Classic, same as with the SE, is that these are compact Macs that are held together with Torx screws. They weren't really designed, they have high voltages inside, they weren't really designed for end users to open up themselves. And for that reason, a lot of these things remained shut for their entirety. But the problem is that these things have PRAM batteries in them. They're little lithium batteries. They run for probably about 10 years, about 10 years expected to run for about 10 years. Some of them have gone for 30, but you never know. But if they're not replaced, they will eventually explode and die. And then you end up with something like this. This has already been cleaned quite a bit, but that's where the battery used to be, and it has exploded, and it sent out all of its alkaline funk all onto this board here, wrecking traces, damaging it, making an absolute mess of the thing. So the beauty of this reloaded board is you can take a fresh board, which I have here, nice clean and fresh one, and you can take as many of the working components off your dead one, move them across onto this one, and then just replace, put new components for any of the ones that might have died. So that is just the background. But the most important thing is this is all basically, Kai's hard work. All I did was go in and put the thing together. So I just wanted to just give a little bit of a foundation to start off with. And then basically it came to the build. And Kai very generously sent me 5 of the boards, and I thought to myself, my goodness, that's generous. And then I started building it and thought to myself, he got off lightly by sending me 5 boards. But I started building it. I did the back in one live stream, all of the components on the back in one live stream. Then I did all the components on the front in a second live stream. And at the end of that one, we tested it. And we started having a few problems. We were having, it was making funny noises. It was going flip, 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 flip. And the reason it was going flip, 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 flip is because of this. Kai had generously made these pads a little bit larger than the originals so that there was, more place for the solder to go. But he had accidentally made these pads run into this trace. So this little trace is running along here, You can't see it. Well, you can. Where all the circles are. I was thinking. I'm pointing to it with my cursor. You can't see my cursor. What's the point? So these basically ran into here. And so what was happening was all of these were all being sort of bridged together, which was causing the problem. So I then got out my Dremel and I cut along there, and made it so it was all clearance between that trace and everything, and that was all good. Then discovered I was still having trouble, and that was because these little vias here aren't meant to be here, and they were actually creating a sort of a, what do you call it, a sort of a short between a few of the rails and the ground and that. And so anyhow, but with each step we were getting a little bit closer. We go from having one problem to, or having 10 problems, to having 9 problems, to having 8 problems, each time just getting that little bit easier. Found a few little kind of, design issues. There were things like this here is on the left is a scan of an actual classic board, and here is sort of the newly created board, and you can see there's a little trace on the blue one that goes down to a via at the bottom. I call them a via. I know that the English call them a via. Whereas on the original board, there was no trace there. And that was basically just because of a speck on the scan. There was a mark on the scan of the board that made it look like that was meant to be joined. And it was a matter of going through, looking at this board under a microscope over and over and over and over again, and then trying to find these faults. And then one day, this week, I was getting sort of very, very close, and then I sort of we were getting to a point where we can get the computer to make some funky noises, and that was during my last live stream, which was the number 3, the part 3 one. We're getting the computer to make some funky noises, and then we made the discovery, or Kai made the discovery. This wasn't me at all. That the ROM chip needed 2. There were 2 pins that needed to be connected up to power. But only one of them was. And so as soon as I created a little bridge, I was able to, let me just sort of get rid of this so that I can show it up on screen. Just here, create a little bridge here from the 5-volt rail into that pin. And as soon as I did that, it chimed. We actually got this chiming. No video, but we actually got a chime. And that was just, the most glorious moment you could possibly imagine. And
how many hours of work did you estimate that you put into this before you got the chime?
Probably about 12 hours, I would think. Yeah, so that would be around about that. And basically then I was like, okay, well, we're getting a chime. We're not getting any video. And then that turned out to be, I think it was, I could be mistaken, but I think it was this. I could be wrong, but this here, the green is the overlay, the black is the original scan, and we were just missing one little connection here. I think that was it. I could be wrong, it could be something else, but it could be one of the others. But essentially what happened was one of the chips wasn't connected to the power rail, so it wasn't getting any power. The moment we did that, we got video, ended up getting a sad Mac face, and the reason we were getting a sad Mac face was because by enabling this particular chip, we had also enabled the RAM check, and it was having a problem with one of the RAM, one of the RAM chips on the board. So, of course, obviously, my first thought is one of these RAM chips is bad. That there can be no other reason than one of these RAM chips being bad. So I started working my way through and replacing them. I did chip number 1, still didn't work. Did chip number 2, still didn't work. Went to go to chip number 3, and saw this. A little pin here, not soldered to a pad there, right there then. And all of a sudden, my reputation is in tatters.
Bruce has taught me everything I know about soldering. And his 2 mantras are like, keep your iron hot.
You get excited. You're like, I put a chip on. That's fine. Yeah, that's good. Okay, on to the next one.
He says, keep your iron hot and always check your own work. I actually tattooed those in a very private area of my body so that I would never forget. And now it just means nothing.
Yeah. Now, I will say one thing in my defense. It's a small thing, but I will say it. Of the entire board that I put together, that was the one and only soldering mistake.
Uh-huh.
So
The
You're
only
telling
one
us
you're
about.
admitting to.
Yeah.
On camera.
it would have been much nicer if there had been none, but one is still,
We'll
still not
forgive
too
you.
bad. Yeah, but anyhow,
Well, how many
anyhow.
pads do you estimate are on that board that you had to solder?
Hundreds, many,
I was gonna say maybe more like
more
thousands.
than 10.
Right?
Yeah,
More
I'm
than
not,
10.
I'm not real. I wasn't.
Kai is fastly opening the program and typing some query to figure out how many points.
I've already got it open. Okay. So, there are 662 vias on board. That's just that's an SMD pads.
That's just a few.
Oh god, there's even more. Okay. I wasn't expecting that. Okay. Ooh. Yes.
We'll just discourage Bruce forever if we tell him the real number.
So vias in total, we're looking at 592 plus 161 plus 114 plus 16 plus 114 plus 6 plus 4 plus 14. So that's
a lot of numbers.
That's a large number.
It's probably over 1,000. It's over 1,000.
Yeah. Yeah, it probably is closer to about 900 to 1,000 actual, and that's just vias. When we actually come to tracks, okay, so we're at about 1,800 tracks on that as well. When we come to SMD pads, bearing in mind that this is, for like one resistor, you've got 2 pads. For just SMD pads alone, it's 1,200 SMD pads.
So that's 2,400 at least, right?
I think Bruce needs a new soldering iron tip after all this.
I think Bruce is going to need a new soldering station after
A new arm.
And just for the sake of showing some pretty pictures here, this is I basically during this process where I wanted to go in and do a few little checks of my own, I got an old battery bombed classic board and I sanded off the mask and just revealed the copper, and that's basically what it looks like. They're a pretty awesome looking thing when you do that to them. There's one side and there's the other side. You can see all the large ground planes and everything like that, and then I scanned those in, and that's what the front side looks like with just the traces and pads and stuff like that. So
fancy.
I just thought I would show that because it's, I just think
That's very pretty.
Looks kind of cool,
Well, that copper one's going to make a good background image for a screen.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. No, I might. There might be my new, phone screen background. But anyhow, so just one thing that I just wanted to mention is that there's been quite a lot of interest. I did a tweet on this the other day, and I did I did a post on Facebook, and there has definitely, there've been a lot of interest on this. But I had one person sort of comment and say, why do this with a classic? Why, what's the point? Well, there are a couple of things. First of all you have to do is look at the interest to realize why. There are people quite literally jumping onto this and saying, where can I buy one? I want one now. So there is interest. So that's one very good reason why. But another is the fact that the classic is popular. There are a lot of them out there. There are quite a few classics out there. We know it wasn't Apple's finest computer ever made, but there are a lot of them out there. And when you have a situation with this computer that is, has been destroyed by a battery, to have that option to go in and restore this back to, sort of new condition with the new board. I mean, that's why it's a restoration project. It's keeping these things going, and that's what we're all about. So yeah, that's the why, restoring these old things. And that I've said,
I think it's
I have
awesome.
spoken.
So here are some images that Kai sent over. So Kai, do you want to explain briefly what the heck these things are that we're looking at?
Okay, so these in particular, so it's just a small album, just so people can see this is what Sprint is. If you're unfamiliar with the Sprint layout software, then this is what I see. So when I'm doing a layer, obviously this is without the background scan enabled. This is just so you can see what the actual layers are built up of. So you see layer C1, that's the top. Layer C2 is the underneath. So a classic board, very much like an SE, only has 4 layers. A top layer, a bottom layer, and the 2 in the middle just carry voltage and ground. And then you can see there with the layer C1 and C2 combined, even just that, without the additional 2 middle layers showing what vias are connected to, that is one of the prime reasons why it's very, very easy to just miss one joint or one connection, or you can go through every pin on a chip and see very clearly, okay, that's connected to a via. I'm happy with that. But that doesn't mean necessarily that the via is necessarily being connected to anything, because that's tomorrow U's job. To go through all those and then you're bound to miss stuff. And this is the reason why going through stuff with Bruce was so absolutely invaluable as well, because obviously he can check the physical boards in front of him, and and he can check versus like a reference board, whereas for a classic, that's the thing, I don't have a classic chassis I can use, and all I've got are dead boards and scans from my end of things, so I'm automatically at a bit of a disadvantage as far as that's concerned. It's the fact that it's taken essentially 12 hours to build, and I'd probably say at least another 12 to diagnose and step through things. Just going through trace by trace, going, okay, what's not working? Okay, the power is fused. Okay, that's an easy one, quote unquote. What should be test pads? What should be vias? Okay, once you've eliminated that, right, then it starts getting difficult. Okay, it's starting to make weird, funky noises, which means it's doing some. We know the sound chip's initialized, and we know that that's got power, that's got ground. We can see on the oscilloscope that we've got a clock signal, and it's going into the BBU, it's coming back out of the BBU, at 2 different rates. As well, so that means that everything else is getting the correct clocks. Okay, we know that the RTC is running. We can see activity on the data lines, the address lines. So what is it? What is it? And so you're just sort of narrowing things down component by component. And you get to a point where like Bruce says, you go from 10 problems to 9 to 8 to 7, and it just for that one, it was the thing that that probably would have kind of made it a bit more obvious from the outset was the fact that I had not, I'd made mistakes. I hadn't connected certain pins that should have done that I should have done. But it's very, like I said, it's very easy to miss on layouts like that.
But may I say that sorry, Jay, you haven't had a piece in a while. You go, Jay.
Yeah, well, I know Kai can't hear me or see me. Some browser-related issues here, but I just want to say I'm very happy that you guys are not in the same room working on this, or even in the same country, because you would murder each other. Like, what? What did you do? You messed up this design, and then he goes down like, what is this soldering? So I'm just glad that you guys are on opposite sides of the globe.
Can someone repeat that for my benefit? Because Jay's completely dead, in terms of I can hear a tiny little microphone in the background, and I can't even see him talk. So could someone repeat that?
So all he basically said was that it's a good job that we weren't working on these in the same location, because
you'd kill each other.
Kill each other. So, but I have to say, it's unbelievably rewarding when you do find something like that. So I mean, it's like the situation with the video. So we've got this, we're not getting any video. So you get the oscilloscope out, you find the origin of the signal, and you see the signal coming out, and it's there. You think that's great. Then the signal goes into a chip, and then it doesn't come out of it. So here's the signal. We know it's good. It's going into this hex inverter or thing or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. It's going in there, but it's not coming out. So that that's the spot where it is. And then you're going around and checking, and then you look in the Sprint layout and you click on the pad where you're supposed to be having power come in, and you notice that pad's not connected to anything, and you go, oh, that's it. And then you go grab a little bit of wire, and you go and find the closest place you can patch it to. Mm-hmm. And so you run a little wire for that pad through to 5 volts somewhere, and then you plug it in, and bang, away you get video, and it's like, wow, that's great. And then we managed to get the point that it was booting, and I could boot into ROM. So, I mean, obviously, for people that aren't aware with the Classic, one of the awesome things about the Mac Classic, it has, I think it's System 603 or something like that, set up built into the ROMs. So if you boot a Classic and hold down Option Command XO, it will boot up whether you've got a hard drive connected or not. And it'll just boot into this little ROM disk, and so I was able to do that. And then the next thing I did was like, oh, well, let's test SCSI. Whoa, something just happened on my screen. Or test SCSI, and when I did that, I couldn't boot into System 7. It would get to a certain point and then stop. And this was where, you know, sort of Kai's accumulated knowledge really came in handy, because he had seen that problem before with the SE project. That he knew that System 6, when it launches, it doesn't check the serial ports. So it doesn't check the serial connection, whereas System 7 does. And so I actually then booted into System 6. I ran Snooper and did a test on the serial ports, and it crashed every time. So we knew that the problem was based on the serial ports. And then once again, go in, look at the serial controller. Okay, we're supposed to be getting power in through these pads there. Once again, pads that are going nowhere. And it's like, oh yeah, there it is, and then you connect another little wire in there, and then you fire it up, and it starts working. I mean, it's actually, if it all just worked from the first go, it would be incredibly boring.
The funny thing is that very morning that we were both kind of like stepping through that process, I was actually on my way to work. I was in the process of waking up, eating toast, and going to work. And there I am flying out the door with a piece of toast going, "I'm trying this And of course, I can't do anything whilst I'm driving to work. So I'm driving like an absolute lunatic trying to get to work in time, going, I want to be there in 10 minutes.
Get out of my way.
I get to the office at the other end, and then there's just this message from there's a message from Bruce just going, look, it's working in a photo. And I'm like, finally, I can do it. I'm in an office with no one else. Yes.
I don't think I actually ever even showed. I'm not sure if I showed the actual finished product.
No,
so
I think you did not. Please.
I'm going to do that right now. Oops.
I was just.
There we go. There it is. So that's there it is. It's got the little 4 megabyte RAM expansion plugged in there. I've got my little extension cable, which a lot of people have said, oh, that extension cable is awesome. And we have Steve to thank for that. It's basically just an ATX extension cable, but it just uses some of the pins. And I've just cut off the ones that I don't need.
I figured that out by looking at an ATX cable and going, it looks awfully similar, and then pulling it out and getting a pair of scissors and going, yep, there it goes, it fits. I'm sure I'm not the only one who's figured that out, but that was damn satisfying.
Yeah, and so I have two of them. I have one sort of permanently connected to a Classic and one permanently connected to an SE. So,
same here.
Or it's an SE30, one of the two. That was the moment that I actually had it working. I had it up and running for a while, and sort of loaded up a few things. It's got sound. It's running System 7.1. Sort of everything is working really well. So yeah,
that's awesome.
And what I will say is that obviously along the way, every time Bruce was throwing up resistor, say R56, it's been left unconnected on one side. I basically just had Sprint layout permanently loaded on the machine. So any time he said something was wrong, it was like straight, let's amend the file, and then I'd send the Sprint to Bruce so he could verify and double check that that was the right one. And we've gotten to a point now where with everything working, I decided to do a bit of housekeeping on the actual PCB layout, because obviously when you're doing it off a trace of a scan, boards flex, scanners don't always align everything perfectly. So whenever you're drawing traces that you think are perfect, actually they're slightly out from what they would be on the real board. Not by a lot. We're talking like 0.5 millimeter or so, but that can have the effect of, oh no, that's awfully close to a pad. So I've redrawn a lot of the actual traces that have gone into the version 1.2b, which is on the way to Bruce at the moment. just to make sure that things like pad clearances are never going to be an issue with this. So instead of being very close on the expansion connector, like within 0.19 millimeters of a pad, that's too close for my liking. So I'll delete that trace and I'll go through the middle of the connector instead. So that's one of the things that I did with the power connection on there, because of that issue of the whole area around that. Even on the production board, like here, where this main power plug, where that main power plug goes, it is incredibly tightly packed in that area, and the tolerances for I don't know, it just didn't sit right with me having traces go through there. But luckily, because of the layout of the board, meant that actually there was no reason why some of those traces couldn't be moved, say 0.4 or 0.6 millimeters further downwards to get a bit more clearance around the socket, and then you can move the plug down just a little bit, and then you could run a trace through the middle instead of underneath, and then you got better clearance all round. So there's just been a lot of tidying up going on, because obviously when you work on a project like this, you get to a certain point, you're like, I can't look at anything anymore. I'm getting an eye twitch because everything is blue and purple, and it looks like one of those magic eye posters after a while, and you just tune out.
And yes, I am going to have to build another one.
Well, you did say you had enough of them.
Let me just say one thing here real quick.
Smash that like button.
And we'll get everybody to smash that button there.
There was something I wanted to just very quickly mention before we moved on. Yes, I just wanted to mention the other challenging part of doing this has been the fact that I'm in Sydney, Kai's in England, and there is not that much overlap with ours. So there's this kind of moment, like at the beginning of Kai's day, which just before I sort of head off and go and make myself dinner, and then there's the sort of first thing in the morning just before Kai's about to go to bed. The first thing in my morning just before Kai's about to go to bed. So that has been another one of the challenging parts of it, is that I might discover something, and I'll be sitting there waiting for Kai to wake up. Come on, wake up, come on.
He should be up by now. What's taking him so long?
Okay, this was the thing when Bruce first started doing the live stream for we're building a Mac Classic. That was the day I'd literally just gone away on holiday. So we're there, me and my wife, we're in the holiday cottage, and my wife's fantastically supportive throughout all of this and puts up with a lot of my geeky nonsense. And she's like, "It's okay, go to bed now. Wake up at 1 a.m, go in the lounge." So there I go. I'm at 1 o'clock in the morning. I've got this laptop tethered to my phone. And I'm on an island that's 6 kilometers by 9 kilometers with a patchy internet at best, watching Bruce's stream with really low res so I can save on my data, whilst trying to type as ninja as possible. It could be this bin. Try that one. All the way through until it got to 5 in the morning, and I realized, oh crap, the sun's come out. I need to sleep. And then I get back, and then we do another. I think it was was it part 2 or part 3? I can't remember.
It was part 3 was the one where you're up till 4:30.
Yeah, and at that point, I'm in here. My wife is trying to sleep. I've got all of the lights out. I've just got this hacker-like glow on the screen, and I've got a mechanical keyboard, so I'm typing it might be this. Try that now. Enter. It's fine. It's fine. Shh. It's the wind.
Someone get this man a laptop.
So you've been very popular with your significant other, Kai.
Well, I currently I have the lounge was filled with computers from my work. When that all got moved to the office, I filled it back up with a sea of beige. I'm not dead yet, so you must love me. Okay, she's giving me the evil eye now.
Thank you for your sacrifice.
She loves it really. Yeah.
You see a soldering iron get thrown across the room
Yeah.
and hit you in the head.
If I see, you may see a heavy object getting hurled in this general direction.
I think that's why when we built our house, my office is all the way on the bottom floor. Hers is on the third floor up. So, we got a floor between us.
So she could just flood you if she really doesn't like you.
True. Yeah, that is true.
Direct hit!
Oh, that's a soda stream bottle. They're thick. Love you, darling.
The joys of
rolling
recreating
on the
Macintosh boards.
She's running up the
Just-
sleeves. I don't know whether that means that violence.
Just think she's not ninjaing a board at you.
Kai, this is just the price of fame, mate. That's just how it goes.
I mean, to be fair, she has had to put up with a lot of, like, when it comes to weekends, which is like my only actual time when my brain has time and room to function. Just when I bury myself in Sprint, and it's a case of like, what are we doing this weekend, God, darling? Absolutely nothing. Headphones on, and then just sit there. She's had to put up with a lot of that. But yeah, ultimately, I think she's actually, she's got a smile on her face, so I know she's proud of me. So that's all that matters.
Oh, Action Retro there. Come for the recreation board, stay for the slapstick comedy.
I mean,
Now, there
don't
is something I want to very quickly
No.
mention. There is something I want to very quickly mention here, and this particular board here, which, as I say, is the prototype that had those few errors in it. It is absolutely covered in all these little trace repairs that I've done, little bodges here, there, and everywhere. I'm going to get this all cleaned up. There is not another board like this in the world. It's going to go on eBay next week, starting at $1,000.
You'll get it.
Somebody will buy and pay for it too.
You have to frame that, but have all the wires coming out of it, so it's framed, but you could still plug it in if you really wanted to.
Now, Bruce, tell us about the naming on there. Now, you were talking about something about somebody's name needs to be smaller.
Oh yeah,
I was saying.
We got this here. We got there. Thanks to Bruce Rain and Steve Matarazzo. Now, I'm just wondering if we can make that Steve name a little bit smaller. For the next edition,
So I was telling Bruce that my name will be 9-point type, and then the board is actually going to be formed to say the word Bruce, like in a big chunky font.
I mean, unfortunately, the next revision, I might just have to change the silk screen a little bit, but I don't know how far I'll go.
I'm just honored to be there.
Well, I mean, the thing is, it's taken a lot of support from people for me to be able to do
Oh, of
this.
course.
As a lot of people know, I took a while to step back from a lot of electronics projects for a while. I needed to just take a break and walk away from it for a while. And actually, the community kind of support, just in general, has been really positive. And actually, that's what's kind of got me to get back into it again and think, no, I can do this. People do appreciate the work that gets put in, and I will continue to keep doing more, obviously. And if the 1.2B boards that end up at Bruce's shortly end up getting built up and they're all A-OK from the get-go, then that will be the final revision of that board and onto the next project, which I think is a Mac 2 FX.
Ooh, I don't have one of those.
Well, this is actually interesting. This is what this is actually something I wanted to mention and get you to comment on this, Kai, because one of the things I see the most now with me doing these social media posts on this project, putting these in, the most common thing I get now is build a fill in the blank next, please. Now, whatever that might be, it might be someone saying, "Hey, do a Classic 2 next," or do an do a 2FX next, do a sort of 2CI next, do a TAM next. I mean, Color Classic is the one that I've had probably the most requested. Everyone wants a Color Classic or an LC575. There are these, sort of these constant requests from people, and that, I guess, I sort of handing over to you when those requests come through. How do you prioritize those for the projects that you then move on to next?
For me, a lot of it is actually having the boards available to be able to strip down and scan. That is the primary restriction in all of this. I mean, I started with an SE simply because SEs were cheaper than classics, and they were, I mean, the board that I picked up, initially, the battery bomb on that was sort of like Hiroshima. It was awful. It just killed everything on the board. And also because it was through hole, I thought, okay, let's start small. Let's not go with surface mount. It might deter people. Through hole soldering is pretty easy. It's slow, it's plodding. But it gets done. But yeah, it is literally just a case of I need. Might as well put this out like an APB. I need dead ones of these, whether it's a Classic 2, whether it's an LC2, an LC3. I know actually Max Comperone on another forum is actually working on. He's done the Plus Reloaded, and he's working, I think, on the LC Reloaded as well. So if I know somebody else is doing that project, I won't go there. I'm like, okay, you do that one. You concentrate on that. There doesn't need to be two of us doing the same thing. So I'll concentrate on something else instead, which is why I did actually start with stripping down a 2FX board that I got that was battery bombed and hopelessly irretrievable. But then I found out that there is actually somebody else who is already working on one of these, but from a schematics up standpoint.
Wow. Okay. That seems like the hard way.
That it is the hard way, but also it's the way that would probably be preferred for some people. So I know the SE30 board has been done already. It's not been released yet, but it will be. And the same person that has done the SE30 board has been doing the 2FX board. So I'm thinking, right, okay, where can I go? Where can I go from here? So I look at, okay, what have I got schematics for as well? Because obviously schematics with the Classic have helped just immeasurably, because the SEO was completely blind. We couldn't find schematics until 7 or 8 months into the project. We managed to track down some Bomark schematics. So what else is on the list? Okay, so Color Classic, got schematics for those. If I get enough dead boards of those that I can harvest, I can strip, I can scan, then yeah, I'll do it. It doesn't even have to be in my hands. If somebody else wants to, like, so Bruce, if you've got a couple of Color Classics that are really dead,
I have several.
Okay, then it's a case of strip them down and scan the top, scan the bottom, and then it's a case of like, right, scan the next layer, because that's where after the 68,000 based machines stop, and you get into like 2 CI territory, you start going up into like 6 layer, 8 layer boards. I think
now how many layers is the 2FX?
So the 2FX is 6 layers, ostensibly. It does still have 2 of those are ground and power, but it is a 6-layer PCB overall. The 2 and the 2X are still 4-layer, but the 2FX, because it had all those mental, IOP processors and BIUs and so much like go faster stuff added to the board, the trace count was doubled over the 2X. So, and also memory routing and stuff like that, there wasn't space enough on 4 layers to do it, which is why they needed to go to 6. And it's the same reason why the original SE30 as well was also a 6-layer board, because with that, they were reducing a 2X or a 2CX into a tiny little 225 by 230 mil board. So they needed to stack up on the layers. And the reproduction is actually only 4, just because of modern PCB techniques and the way you can do things now with like buried vias and stuff like that.
I am the first in line, as Bruce was, for soldering the Classic board. I will be the first in line for the 2FX.
I think a lot of people will. It's with certain machines that are more prone to battery bombing. Like if a 2CI battery bombs, you can usually patch around it because it's kind of the battery is away from anything mostly important other than maybe a few traces in the bottom corner near the RTC. If a battery goes on a 2FX, buy your toast. That's because you've got the SRAM there. You've got 2 IOPs immediately behind it, which are the unobtainium. So so that's another consideration. Is like what other machines are the ones that actually need this or need the treatment.
And this actually just prompts another really important question. So if we're looking at something like the Classic Reloaded board, what percentage of the components on these are still obtainable today. You can still buy brand new ones, or if they're new old stock or something from UT Source or something like that. Well, what sort of percentage of the components on these can you still buy today?
80%. 80%.
How many?
Easy.
Sorry?
80. 80. Yeah. The things on those boards which are unobtainable are basically the custom chips. So RTC, Sound, SWIM, ADB, and BBU. Right. Everything else that's on there, so the processor, you can still buy plenty of those new old stock. I mean, they made the 68,000 in a PLCC form factor from 1985 to 2015. That's a 20-year manufacturing lifespan.
Yeah.
And it was only discontinued in 2015. And the 68,000 is still available as the SEC model on Mouser until they run out of stock.
Didn't NASA still use those processors for the longest time? Because
actually, NASA used
or was the PowerPC?
There was for most space-based missions, NASA uses the RAD 750, which is a radiation-hardened version of the G3. And prior to that, so things like the Space Shuttle actually ran on 3 8086s.
Wow.
I remember seeing a grid computer up there on the Space Shuttle. Yeah,
I love those machines.
I had one of those at one time.
Oh, I've been after a grid compass. I think it's the 1136 for years. Yeah, the moment I saw one in Aliens, like the special edition, doing the smart gun, the sentry turret stuff, I'm like, I want one. I will find it. And every time one has come up for sale, it's like, I'm sorry, are you high? How much is this?
Yeah, I think with the that's the challenge for these boards. You have a balance of what needs replacement, and the thing is, someone's doing like the LC. Okay, I understand that, but logically, in my mind at least, I think of, well, what's the biggest, baddest machine I could fit in that form factor? And you look at like the Quadra 605, or you look at the LC3 Plus, where it's like, okay, well, you have what's there. You could expand that a bit, and then it's very exciting because once, let's say, you have an LC3 and that you have that all pinned out and everything, you could theoretically, because we were talking a little about this earlier, add things to it. And for example, there was, I think it's MacQ, or I forget the name of the company, made these elaborate add-on cases with custom PCBs for the LC series, which basically added on additional PDS slots. So you had basically a thing that sat on top of it, and you could just, between the PDS slots, you could turn them on and off. I mean, not to say integrate that into the board, but you could say, hey, you know what? Well, we did the whole board. That was complex, but I mean, what's to say you can't do accessories for these boards? So it's very interesting and exciting to think about, not only you working on this stuff, Kai, but other people who've been inspired by you, other people who are doing side projects that are similar to these, that, there's really no limit except the expertise and the time you put into these things of understanding, and reverse engineering this stuff. And that's why it's so exciting to be doing this vintage stuff now, where a lot of these machines are, for parts only, or they're donor boards. You could scrape a few of them together and get something working, and that's super exciting.
From 3 dead ones to 1 working one.
Yeah.
And actually, the funniest thing is that UT Source, you mentioned UT Source there, for the Quadra 605 LC475, the entire chipset is available from UT Source.
Oh, wow.
New old stock. I actually have a box under my desk with all the QFPs in tray for the prime time. I think it's called Primetime, the main chip that's made by TI. They made way too many, and they stopped making the machines, so they've just been surplused. And again, things like CUDA chips still available. The SCSI controller chips, you can buy them on Mouser.
That's great.
The VIA chips in early machines. This is just a standard 65C22N. Again, available from Mouser, £4.82. When you're talking about sort of what percentage of components is available, it's more than you might think. And there's only a couple of cases where the only source for them are other dead boards. For example, I've got 4 2FXs. I forget how many. I got 4 2FXs, 2 working ones and 2 very dead ones. And those 2 dead ones, between them, there's enough chips between them to make one other good board.
Yeah.
So,
people often wonder maybe well, why did they still make these chips? Well, you have to think about it. Like, let's say the 68,000 processor, that was a very well-known processor by engineers and tinkerers and hardware manufacturers. So, if they were building a children's, Simon game or a toy that needed a processor or whatever, these things were even, the late 90s, well, not the late 90s, but let's say the early 2000s, 2010s, etc. These chips were still available. They were getting cheaper, like the Zilog chips, etc. These things could still be found today, in stuff that was made not too long ago. Because I think these are well known and easy to program for.
I think they were putting some of these chips in like white goods and stuff like that, and controlling washing machines, all those sorts of things. I mean, I think
my washing machine has one in. It's a 68020 in my Bosch washing machine.
Yeah. So I mean,
can it run the Oregon Trail?
I can make it.
I actually love these. I love these. There's a project out there. I'm sorry I don't have a link for it, but there's this group of people that go around trying to get Doom running on anything they can find.
Yes.
And they recently managed to get Doom running on an IKEA smart light bulb, which I thought was pretty impressive.
I saw that video. I saw that.
That's fantastic.
If it's electronic, it can run Doom, or if it can't, it will be made to run Doom.
So we added on the whole logic board just to run Doom.
No, not even. The best one I've ever seen was one of those LG smart fridges. And the display on that has a powerful enough controller, so the hacker said when you open the door, Doom would start. And you could have a quick game of Doom while you got things out of the fridge. And this was not adding any extra hardware. This is just like pure firmware.
I love it. I love it.
Now, one quick mention I just want to also say here is, obviously, we've talked about the idea of doing these reloaded boards, but I want to just make a quick mention about things like accelerator cards and stuff like that, because we're seeing that happening as well with people going in and, sort of reverse engineering. I mean, things like, like the Radius rocket or stuff like that, or, when people are putting 040 upgrades into old 020, 030 machines, that sort of thing. And I think that's going to be an area that's going to be, it's going to be growing, because the demand for these sorts of accelerators is incredibly high, and so there's a PDS slot 68040 accelerator, and I definitely think we'll be seeing that happening. I think we'll be seeing more of those getting made. I think there's a big demand for that.
With this, can I just quickly say, Bruce, this is a reproduction of the original Carrera. This is not an original Carrera. This is a prime example of what is already being made and is out there in the wild and can be purchased.
That's insane.
Yeah, this was originally a Micro Mac. If you notice, it now says Bol Mac instead, and it even comes with a optional L2 cache module on board as well.
I want one.
Yeah, get in line. I want one.
Bruce is like, take my money now.
Yeah. Ask Bol nicely. He may indulge you.
I need his email. This is all such cool stuff. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure a lot of people in the chat are too. But if you have any love for this beige stuff, this is just. It's so exciting to see that this stuff is available now. It's so.
I don't like
it's not the future. It's now. Yeah, exactly. Even Jay's excited. Yeah. So there you go.
There's because it has to do with soldering.
There is one other person that I would like to make people aware of. Actually, is with regards to other sort of recreations of stuff. There is a lovely guy called Antoine, aka Silicon Insider.
Oh yes.
He makes brand new VRAM sims, like the 512K ones, which are hard to come by, even the 256s. He's just started producing with the weird 112 pin VRAM for the 7500, 7300, 7600. I've been searching for a set of that, and he's like, "Oh yeah, no, I'm making that now." And he just turns this stuff out super quick.
I was very lucky to have a conversation with him, and he sent me some modules to try out. And so I tried one out in my 4400, and it works. It's not the expected memory he thought it was, but we've been doing some tinkering. I've been cutting and soldering and stuff. So I had a very mini project like you and Bruce had, but on a very much smaller scale level. But it's so exciting to, he's like, well, I know the machines to test it. Can you? I'm like, yes, just give me the thing. I'm going to shove it in there and see if it works. And it was the same thing. There's a time difference and everything. So I'm like, it did this, it did that, it made this noise, it made that noise. It didn't blow up my machine, but I don't see any video, so it's very exciting to play around with that stuff. And the stuff that he does, I know Sean from Action Retro did a video about his one of his classic Macs where he uses a lot of the modules that he has made. So Silicon Insider on Twitter and Instagram. I know the handle's slightly different there, but yeah, totally check that guy out. He's doing a lot of really cool stuff, and I have a very delayed video.
He sells on eBay as well.
Yeah, so
it's available to everybody.
Yeah, so go out and check that out. I'm going to try and find his eBay store and put in the chat, but very cool stuff.
Just want to answer a question from Adam McGee quickly. You need somebody to make PAL RAM for your 2X? Check my GitHub. I've done that. It's out there. It does exist. It has tested. Absolutely fine. I worked with a guy called Phil Cranmer in the UK to produce those. I think it took us about 8 hours from beginning to end to get these things designed from literally nothing. And him just going, I've got one of these. Can you replicate it? To 8 hours later, like sending the boards off to GLC PCB. And then when he got them back, he solddered them up on a hot plate, and they just work. So if you need some, check out like my GitHub, and the project is there. And any other projects as well will be so I know the project website for the Classic Reload is posted at the bottom of the screen there. All of my hardware projects are slowly going to be posted up there, to not just to mirror GitHub, but to be a bit more in depth because it allows me to, and also so you guys can also sign up to that and post your projects as well. If you want to sign up for an account, post what you're doing, what weird hardware thing are you playing around with. Sign up, be a part of that community as well.
I love that, because if I get your board and I do something with it, or Bruce does the same or whatever, like, share that stuff, share the troubleshooting, share it all. That's great.
Yeah. So actually, on that note, I just want to mention that obviously the build of this classic board, there have been 3 parts to it. I am doing a 4th part. I'm going to hopefully get that done this weekend. It won't be a live stream. It is going to be essentially like a self-contained recap of the whole journey. So it's going to be a recap of part 1, recap of part 2, recap of part 3, and then also describing the final stages. And then obviously, sort of the finished one. So just letting everyone know that's coming.
Is it going to be like a live premiere though?
I probably will premiere it. I've never done that before. So, get me some of that super chat.
I have a question.
Yes, I have.
I have invested a good 8 to 10 hours in your creation of this board on streams, and you're telling me that I missed the first chime, I missed all the dremeling and all the troubleshooting and all that stuff, and now I'm going to miss a chance to experience another 4 hours during another live stream. I feel gypped.
Look, I do understand it, and to some extent, I would kind of like to live stream the final stage, but because I ideally would like the 4th one to be a summary of the whole thing. I've got to go back and pull footage out of the first 3 and stuff like that. I want it so that if people missed parts 1, 2, and 3, they can watch a part 4 as a complete thing with a conclusion. And there's just no way I can really do that, sort of practically in a live stream.
Well, you could do a unlisted live stream of you tinkering with it, and we could bribe you to get that link.
Yes,
get you some of that sweet super chat money.
Yeah, that's right. You could do that. But yeah, I mean, it was very disappointing to not have that eureka moment on screen. But just to put it into sort of perspective for people, essentially what was going on with that is I am doing a little bit here. I'm then coming back up into the house and checking, because Sprint is a Windows only thing, and I've only got my little G3 down there. All of my Windowsy type stuff here, my parallels and everything, all run up in here. So when I need to go up and have a look at the layout, I'm having to come up here and check that. And then I'd go back down to the workshop. I'd make a change. I'd send something to Kai. Kai would respond. I would then go in and make a change and then test it out. And so it was this very, very kind of piecemeal process during those very final stages. There was really no way of actually live streaming those final stages because they were so all over the place. So I am going to try and recreate some of that energy in the next video. So
well, you could have filmed it all while you were doing it.
I think
I
filmed a lot of it. I think so Bruce did film little pieces that we haven't seen yet, so he will be adding that into his video, I'm sure.
Yep, absolutely.
And all this talk about fixing things is making me think about my Quadra 840 AV and how I want it to work again.
I do have the schematics for that. So if I can get a few dead 840 AV boards,
can you send me? If you send me those now, I'll live stream my attempt to repair it tonight.
Do it.
My goodness, that machine is the bane of my existence. But I would love to get that thing working again.
I've got one here giving me grief as well.
So Bruce and I will do another Talking Head stream where we're just bashing our heads against something, trying to get something to work.
Mine gets a little bit more life than yours, but not much.
Yeah, well, I mean,
is that the board with the full board 5-volt short?
Yeah, which isn't actually the case. Basically, what we were at the time, we were sort of getting the multimeter and we were putting it on sort of 5-volt and then putting it on ground and getting a beepity beep from the multimeter. But I had a working 840 AV board and did the same thing, and I got a beep on mine. So it's actually designed that way. So.
Yeah, that threw me off. I was sure that something was problematic, but anyway, I digress. So. Kai and Bruce.
Steve. I've just sent you the 840 AV schematic.
Ooh, I'm excited. I gotta go, guys. Bye.
No, you're the host.
Oh, Kai can take over. Bye. So yeah, that's exciting. So now I have to look at that.
I've got him as well.
Oh, that's right. This is the Bowmark one.
Yeah.
I mean, not that it does me much good. I don't know what I'm doing when I'm looking at these things. There are a bunch of squiggly lines and smiley faces, and mine's making a sad face. But I'm gonna print them out anyway, and I'll bother Kai at 4 a.m. to try and.
What's this little squiggly line mean?
You can try.
You can try.
There's going to be a paywall up on his email when I message him. All right. Well, I love
$5.
To upload an image to Kai, you need to deposit $10. Yeah. Oh boy. Well, it's been awesome finding out the updates for your project, Kai, and Bruce. You're hard at work, obviously. So I look forward to seeing that video. So you have an estimate of when you hope to release that next coming few days or a week, or
you talking about the video?
Yeah, the video.
If all goes well, I would hope to have it finished by the end of this weekend. If all goes well, it's mainly just an editing project more than anything.
We'll give you some time.
Those that know Bruce, that means maybe this year.
I know a lot of people are probably asking, where can I get a classic board? Please send me a classic board. I want a classic board. How much money do you want for one? Not yet. It will be soon.
Yeah.
It will be available soon. But we've got to get the second prototype, the second revision of the board, double checked that it works and there's no problems with that before I'll be happy to release anything.
Yeah, you don't want to turn into Bruce.
Yeah.
Let Bruce be the guinea pig.
What I will say is currently I am now, whereas before with the SE boards I did sell some of the boards that I'd done. I do still have 38 available for people in within the UK and EU, but for everywhere else inside the continental United States, Mac Effects is actually a licensee now, so they are actually selling the SE Reloaded boards. There are other people that will be licensed as well to sell the boards as well in the coming months. But yeah, it won't be. None of the boards will be purchasable from me. I'm just solely just design and get these out the door via other channels instead.
Awesome. Jay, I'm sorry, you were gonna say something?
I forgot.
You forgot. Okay. Well, we had some other topics planned, but we're gonna save those for next time because we just geeked out for about an hour and a half about this stuff, which is totally good. So that's no. That's why we had you on the show. Is we don't really have any other topics. We just say that. Play along.
Oh, that's right. You flew me in at the last minute to rescue everything. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, dear.
So, does anybody have anything exciting that's going on later this week? Any plans for the weekend?
I'll stay
Jay,
out of that.
you wanna start, Jay?
I might do some more streaming. I think it's fun. I'm not getting much done, but I think it's fun, so I might do that.
Okay. All right, Mike, do you have any plans? Mike, you're muted.
I have no idea what I'm doing yet.
Okay.
We'll see what's going on. I don't have any. I have no immediate plans, but that's always subject to change. I might come up with something at the last minute.
Mike
Okay,
is
great.
going to overclock his MDD.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Mike's house
The
is also going to
MDD barely runs right
One of
now because
those.
of power supply.
Oh, look at that.
Do you need one of these?
Yeah, I do. You want to send it over here?
I can. Just
I'll pay the shipping.
a large quantity of cash, and this can be yours.
Can he send you cats instead? He has more cats.
I'll work with cats.
Yeah, I do. I have more cats than cash. That's for sure.
Send the one that's in meat.
I am poor white trash, so you know.
It kind of sounds the same.
If
Cash.
a box arrives and a paw comes out, it's like, yeah, that's okay. I'll send that one to Mike. It's all good.
So what is that one, guy?
This one is the Sonnet Encore ST G4 1.8.
Okay.
Yeah, I know they did a dual CPU version of that.
Those are real easy to overclock to 2.0.
Yeah.
With the size of that heatsink, I don't doubt it.
Wait, did he just reply to me? He can hear me.
Yes, I reloaded.
He reloaded.
Okay.
Kai has reloaded himself.
No. You popped in, and then Bruce disappeared.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
it's-
you'll reload for him, but not. Okay. I see what it is, yeah.
No. I'm saying Bruce is currently Bruce is dead to me. Currently, I don't, unless he's deliberately gone off cam or something. It's like I'm only allowed to see 4 other people. At any
That's the
time.
only important people.
And it's potluck. Who comes up next?
If we use
Oh boy. No, he's gonna load up StreamYard on his Macintosh Classic by the next time we talk. Then.
So
Excellent.
can someone let Kai know that I'm talking? Because I just want.
I can hear you. I
Oh,
can
good,
hear
you can
you.
Good.
I can hear you, but I
Good.
just can't see. I just can't
Okay.
see your glorious beard.
I just wanted to make a quick mention about Jay's live stream from earlier this week. Jay reballed an SMC.
Oh, yes.
And I just want to make mention of that, what a big thing that was. And for people, if they haven't watched it, to go back and watch it, because that was a momentous occasion. I've been trying to get Jay to do that for quite some time, and he finally live streamed reballing an SMC.
You did get me to do it last year, and I reballed a bunch, but it just turned out that I had the shittiest equipment ever to do it, and that's why I stopped doing it. Yeah, but I was inspired, pressured to do it again, and this time with some help from the live chat, I got some good tips and managed to pull it off. So that was fun.
Yeah, he even got tips from me. He actually listened to a little bit.
Yeah, that was beyond bizarre. That's weird. Oh,
So
Dave is here. He's early. Damn it.
So we're just going around saying what we were doing this weekend. So I think we went to Jay, went to Mike. Kai, do you have anything exciting that I know you're still heads down bashing out the board design with Bruce, but anything you want to promote or you're working on?
Well, what I will be working on actually is just trying to actually play with my beige collection, because I've been so laser focused on getting the classic board up and running. It's been dominating like every kind of free moment I have to kind of do this stuff. And so I've got my blue SCSI, I've got the over easy module for it. I've got one of these as well. So this is Max Comperone's SCA to 50-pin adapter
nice.
as well. These work brilliantly well. If you need something like this, it is a proper like SCA hard drive, 2 50-pin adapter. I got two compact drives that work absolutely fine, and they're like 10,000 RPM like bricks. But
now,
they work quite nice.
Now with that adapter, because I have some of the cheapo ones that are not made by that individual. I'm just very curious. Are they the same thing, or does one work better than the other?
Oh no, these work way better. The reason for the reason for it is because not only have you got like activity lights and whether or not you've got +5 volt, +12 volt, you can change whether or not the termination is 16-bit or 8-bit, whether or not you want to connect LED to it, and you can set the original like the SCSI ID on it as well. It's not just like a fire and forget like some of the cheap ones are, which are just a plain old adapter. The quality.
I'll need a link to that too.
It's actually got proper components on it as well for
excellent
for proper termination. And I'm using one of these in my SE30 with a 9 gig SCSI drive, and it works absolutely fine.
Every time Kai is on the show, Steve and Bruce spent a lot of money in the hours that follow. What was the last one, Steve? That floppy readout?
Oh, yeah, that was the CryoFlux. Yeah.
I will also be fitting this to my SE30.
I'm jealous of you.
So that's
for those who don't know what that is.
So this is a combination Ethernet and PDS adapter for an SE30. So it plugs into the SE30 there, allows you to carry on plugging in extensions up the top, and also use that's a 2CI PDS slot. So you can upgrade that technically with any accelerated card that work at a 2CI, and it will give you.
So you can make it an 040. Yeah.
Which is why I have that as well. It all fits nicely together. It was all designed with that in mind. And then obviously I have the Mac Rominator 2 for the SE30, and then I have I've got a 16 meg memory kit here.
Steve, you're drooling a little.
Sorry.
I will say, underneath the emergency cake, there is also a tub of brand new 30-pin memory in here.
So what you're saying, Kai, is even though you buried yourself in that work, you're going to equally bury yourself in tinkering around things this weekend.
Yeah. So I've got some brand new, like 16 meg 30-pin sims from Keystron. These are really cheap. You can get a 128 meg kit of these for like 40 quid.
For like $600.
Our currency's not that bad. Yeah.
I mean, the funny thing is that in this day and age, you can go out and get a bunch of those 16 meg sims. You can get something like a Macintosh 2CI or an SE30, and you can upgrade them to 128 megabytes. And you go, hey, what am I going to do with all that RAM?
RAM disk
era. Nothing of that era can use that much RAM.
Didn't you recently upgrade a Mac to insane amount of RAM just because it was cheap, Bruce?
Yep.
Sure
did. If you can,
exactly.
It's not about what how you use it. It's about what you have
and how long and how long the memory check takes when the machine boots up.
This is the beauty of
the Rominator.
Yeah, I wish it worked in the Quadra 800.
The Quadra 950, which has 16 memory slots, 30-pin memory slots, and you can take that up to 256 megabytes of RAM, which Sean of Action Retro, who was in the chat today, he has done recently. I was going to do it, but he beat me to it, which is fair enough. And it's just an amazing thing. I mean, if you were to have done that in the day, it would have cost you more than the machine, well more than the machine to buy all the RAM to do that. So,
Mr. Moneybags over there,
Yep.
All right, so GT, you doing anything this weekend?
This weekend, well, it's my wife's birthday tomorrow, so I will be spending it with her. Yep. So we'll be doing that, and then I know we're going out to dinner tomorrow night. So, but Saturday I have. I was talking to these guys. I have a new cartridge coming in for my TI-99, and I will be. I want to play around or get back into actually programming extended basic programs again, and see if I can remember how to do that. I mean, that's been over 30 years ago that I actually, more than that, actually, probably almost 40 years that I've
stretching
actually
those
touched,
brain cells.
That I actually touched and wrote some really good TI-99 4A basic program. So we're going to play around with that. I may stream a little bit of it. I don't know, but we'll see.
All right, cool. And Bruce, I assume you're going to be editing your video, or what are you going to be?
Yeah, I mean, I think this entire show has been about what I'm doing in the next few days, so I don't think I need to say anything else.
Awesome. I haven't streamed in like over a week, so I'm going to be doing something either tonight or tomorrow or whenever. I don't know what.
You already committed to tonight if you had the schematic, which you now have. So.
I guess so. Anyway, we are also on Discord. that banner popped up. Perfect timing. We are also on Discord. Please check out our Discord channel. If you want to hang out with us there, we often are in many different channels, so you could ping us there. You could share ideas for the show, topics, all that fun stuff. So be sure that you hop on there. That is a very cool place to hang out, and a lot of us are often in those channels supporting each other and pasting links and all that fun stuff. And that's about it. Anything else you guys want to share before we jump ship?
I think we've never ended the show this on the money ever before.
Well, we're going to do it. Smash that like button. Do what you got to do. We're out of here.
Smash that like button.
Hey, thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye.